You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Engle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk. Are you serious? I'll be joined in a few minutes by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. I hope you guys are all doing well here after some major snow here in the Northeast and elsewhere, I guess, this week. Last couple of weeks, we got more snow than we got in the last two winters combined, I think. Maybe close to a foot here the other day. Maybe over a little bit because it's settled. It was very heavy stuff. Anyway, your host continues to be on the mend, starting to make some real progress. Finally got back into my own bed last night after 2 weeks because I have been so sick. I didn't want to affect my wife. But we're on the upslope, so you'll see the cough button a few times today, but we'll do the best we can. Get rid of this music. Welcome in, everybody. We haven't, we did a show last week. We did muddle through it. I know we missed a couple shows, and I apologize. We're going to dive into the NBA, take 3. NCAA Tournament yesterday got started, and some big upsets already. Virginia, as is their wont, if they don't win the national championship, they seem to be a big upset victim every year, and they lost again to Furman. I took him in on my bracket, but I had said all along Furman was a real possibility to win that game. And a bigger shocker, number 2 Arizona gets beat by Princeton. Princeton's always close in this tournament. And they finally pull off the upset, beating the second-ranked Arizona and busting a bunch of brackets, including the Mad New Yorkers, by the way, which we'll talk to about in a second. We'll dive into some NFL free agency news. Who are the big winners? Who are the big losers? And that'll include a little bit of conversation. Unfortunately, I'm sorry about Aaron Rodgers. And then maybe we'll talk some more about the WBC. Sadly, I mean, we're into the quarterfinals. Japan's already advanced to the semis, beating Italy. Good showing by the Italy team, led by Matt Harvey on that pitching staff. But we're going to get into the other quarterfinals here the next 2 days with the USA, Mexico, and who is the other? Venezuela, I believe, the other team that's in the quarters. Yeah. So the USA will play Venezuela tonight. Oh, tomorrow. Got to wait one more day. At least that's a normal time, 7 o'clock. My God, I've had to wait up till 10 o'clock to watch these games, and it's been a nightmare. So we'll dive into that, and also the tragic is not the word for it. There's a lot of tragedies in the world. Injuries in sports is not one of them, guys. We'll talk about some tragedies with Kermit Washington. I'll be interviewing tonight, by the way, if you want to. That'll get broadcast next week. But Edwin Diaz getting hurt and out for the season. Stop calling for the end of the WBC, guys. These guys play for pride, and you guys want people to play for pride, and then you complain when they do. So whatever. Anyway, with that, let's bring in our co-host, the Mad New Yorker. Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning. How you doing? Happy Friday.
Well. Happy Friday to you. Do you get much snow in the city?
No, nothing. I mean, it's like over here, it's around anywhere between 40 to 45 degrees, and then even last night it wasn't that cold. It wasn't that cold at all. So
yeah, around here we had anywhere from a foot to 3 feet, depending on where you were. So
yeah, if you're in the foothills over there, you get a little bit of wildness going on.
We're down in the valley, so it was a little bit, probably 14 inches we got, and it went heavy stuff. That's the problem this time of year. It's always like concrete, so a lot of power outages, whatnot. Anyway, let's dive into the world of sports, and I guess we should start with. There's a lot of places we could start, but we're going to start with March Madness. The Madness. 1 week. Sorry, you're out of the bracket challenge.
Probably done. One and done. I'm like Arizona. I'm just one and done.
Those you don't know, Carlos picked Arizona to win it all. Now you could lose a team in the Final Four and still have a chance, but if you lose your winner on day one, you're pretty much done. But
what with the I don't feel too bad though, because they got like 3/4 of these people in the country if you're betting percentages, I'm on with them, and their bracket was busted as well. So
I'm still
okay.
Where you can only pick a team once, so every day you got to pick a team. Every day of the tournament, you got to pick a team. And if you get to a point like the Final Four or Elite Eight where you don't have a team left to pick, you're out. So there's a lot of strategy involved. Like today, I took UCLA yesterday. I've got to go to a different region now. I can't really pick another team in the same region. But anyway, there was 270 some people, I think, in this pool, and it's at least half of them are gone yesterday.
Yeah,
between Arizona and Virginia and a couple other teams.
The best thing about March Madness, and even though I lost, is that things like this will occur. You don't get that whole season type of concept that these kids are, the consistency. You don't get the okay, they just dropped one game, they'll be back. This one and done is the way to go, and it's exciting. And yeah, it's heartbreaking when your team loses, but that was a game to watch. Nobody expected Princeton to come out and be better than they played better than they did in their own tournament, which is good, which is what you have to do. And Arizona came out looking tired. I mean, they played to get to the tournament, and that's what it looked like.
They were in the tournament. They didn't need to, kill themselves. It's better to win your tournament for seeding, obviously. But Princeton literally had to win their tournament to get in the tournament. So, I'm not giving Arizona any benefit of the doubt there. Sorry.
I'm not expecting people to come and get me out of my sorrows, but at the end of the day, listen, Arizona had a great season. Arizona's been doing very well since the end of last season. And so I was hoping that would carry over, and it didn't. And that's okay. It happens. I'm pretty sure 98.99999% of people will not win their brackets or the millions of dollars that's available by almost every single media outlet that offers perfect brackets out there. So I think it's like 99.75% or something like that. So
there was over, this might have been before the Arizona, I think it was after the Arizona final. There was like on ESPN, there were something like 220 million brackets that were put in. There were less than 20,000 perfect brackets left after yesterday.
Yeah, and kudos to Tennessee. They almost got knocked out. They played pretty decent last night.
I like Louisiana in that game.
Lafayette gave them a run for the money. I don't think Tennessee is going to be. I don't know if they could keep it up. They played pretty good the first half of the game, but it's the tournament. You got to play. You got to play up to snuff, and some of these teams they did pretty well. Penn State doing good. Texas A&M did not do well. So
very big disappointment in the first round. I liked Texas A&M. I thought they'd get beat by Texas eventually anyway, but
Oral Roberts didn't play that well. I felt like Duke came out of their. They're starting to morph into the Duke that they should be. And
Kenny's got a comment about that. Let me tell you a couple quick good mornings before we move on. Good morning to CA. Good to have you with us. Kenny's with us. Who else is with us? Alan's with us this morning. CA, by the way, I'm not sure exactly how I want to respond to you third night testing and breaking in the new bed. So we won't take that comment anymore. I'll just say good luck. But Kenny talks about Oral Roberts. He liked Oral Roberts a lot.
Yeah.
I liked Oral Roberts a lot. I went back and forth in my pick. I actually took Oral Roberts getting to the Sweet 16 at the end of the day. A great piece yesterday I saw late last night that Duke's playing right now almost as well as anybody in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And they get in, and pretty much everybody was picking them to get upset. And all the experts were picking Oral Roberts to win this game. They got off to a fast start, I think 15-0. Oral Roberts didn't give up, as Kenny says, but unfortunately they were just outmanned yesterday against.
What happens with Duke is that you play the first five guys, and they gave you like almost a 10-point lead, and then you played the bench, and they gave you another 10-point lead. So
they're pretty good defense.
Yeah, and the depth helped them a lot, and then they played like 5-star players. Now, when they were in their own conference the whole year. They've been up and down. So this is good for them. This is a good sign for Dookie fans. And hey, again, this is the tournament, one and done. So you got to play out. If not, you go home. So
yeah, for sure. Good morning to Bob and Jeanette.
Good morning, Bob.
Amsterdam, New York. CA's talking about he missed a bracket challenge. Sorry about that, CA. I know I had it up for a while and might have been a little confusing, but we had a few in there. We'll have to talk about the weekly fantasy league because I'm already one and it's a lot of work.
I got I'm feeling a little queasy about Houston. North Kentucky gave them a fight last night.
And now Sasser got pulled at halftime. I'm not sure why Kelvin Sampson played Sasser. I don't think he needed Sasser to win that game yesterday. Now he's iffy for the weekend, which they need him now every game after this.
Yeah, it's just a shame that a player like Sasser, the last game of the tournament, that he gets hurt and now he's in the tournament that matters, right? Because this is the tournament that matters. This is for the big one, and he's in pretty bad shape. But that's sports for you, right? And you have to have a team. Remember, even when we started talking about when we had these discussions about last year, it usually takes about 7 or 8 players on total on the bench that are good or decent to get you in the Final Four, right? So and depth matters, and coaching matters. Timeouts matter. Everything matters now more than ever. So
Kenny's right. I mean, and when I say Sasser, listen, Houston's better. They're as good as the sum of their parts. Sasser doesn't just carry them, but when you lose an All-American, first-team All-American, it's going to affect your chances to win.
Yeah.
Now, the other guys can step up, and a lot of teams deal with injuries. Duke, for instance, dealt with a lot of injuries early in the year. That's why they're playing so well right now.
Right. Yeah.
They had some major injuries early in the year and got off to a bad start.
Yeah. So Duke did what UNC couldn't do. Duke, their 5-star players their younger players were able to step up and match up during the season, and so now they're almost as good as the players, as good as the second-year players and third-year players. So that's what Duke was able to do and progress. That UNC was not able to do. So now they're in tournament time, and they're all guns out, and all guns are blazing. So that's a difference there, and
And Kenny's right. Arizona probably was looking ahead a little
bit.
Yeah,
and
Princeton. This might be. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that they've ever won a first-round game to Princeton. I'd have to go back and look. But
I think they've won a first-round game, but this is the first time they beat a number 2.
Yeah, well, and they've been close against 1s and 2s. They played Georgetown when they were really great back in the 90s. They played a really good UCLA team, almost beat them. This is a team that comes in with a totally different style than pretty much anybody else will play in this tournament. Well, maybe not anybody, but when you run into teams that play completely different styles of basketball than you see all year, that's where these teams run into trouble. You saw it with Virginia against Furman. You saw it with Princeton. You saw it with obviously Princeton. I just said Princeton, didn't I? You saw it in a couple other places.
Northern Kentucky. What it is, Keith, is that these teams play in their conference, and conference kind of always play each other well. They know each other. They come out and they play these non-conference games. Even upsets that happen during the season when they play the smaller mid-majors. These teams, they don't understand. They look at the name, but they don't understand the guys on the team, and they don't understand how good some of these guys actually are. How much faster they could be. How much more consistent they could be. Princeton has consistent shooters, and they're fast, and they play defense. And they play fast defense. They don't just they don't just man up on you, but they play quick enough where they don't get caught behind.
They got a big kid who can play inside and shoot 3 throws. That's
so when Arizona was out there hoping to just run and gun and control the time, that's not gonna. This is tournament time, man. This do or die. And Princeton, they had that do or die mentality, and they did not give up. And that hurt Arizona because, like I said, Arizona playing. I feel like the coaching was a little off, and I felt like they weren't ready. They looked tired. It was strange, but hey, kudos to Princeton because they played their game, and that's what you got to do sometimes. You got to play with what you got, and you got to play fast and hard.
Yeah, I'm actually talking about the the modern era of the NCAA, not when there was 16 teams in it, Alan. So yes, they had a great team in 1965, led by Dollar Bill Bradley.
Bill Bradley, yeah.
Nick,
New York.
Yes, Princeton's had some success in basketball. I'm talking about in recent times where the Ivy League is not necessarily a player for a national championship.
Right.
But they were a very good team then. You're absolutely right. What else surprises you from yesterday? Anything? I'm a little impressed. Some teams that moving on.
I think Auburn and Bruce Pearl they did a good job.
I was impressed with Auburn. I think they got a chance against Houston on Saturday.
And I'm their younger guys are stepping up, and their older guys are they made less mistakes than they used to when they were playing, in the SEC. So that I think that's what Tennessee was hot. If you flip it to Tennessee and Arkansas, that's the problem. They kept the other teams in the game by making too many turnovers towards the end of the game.
Yeah,
like where they try to control the game and control the clock. Just go out and play. Use your bigs. Use what you got, man. Don't try to win on a 5-point lead, man.
Arkansas beats a pretty good Illinois team. I was impressed overall with Arkansas yesterday, but their tendency to turn the ball over and play a little out of control will probably hurt them later. But if they control that, that's a team that could make a surprise little run here too.
Yeah, I'm just surprised some of these coaches with, we got to wait till we got to hold off until the next game, because the way some of these teams, these mid-majors and these other teams shoot the 3-ball nowadays, where they can catch fire. Well, and you got to be careful with that. It's not a consistent game plan, but when it happens for a team, you can't come back from 8 points. Is maybe you can catch up, but when you get to 15 points, it's like it's difficult.
A lot of these games, some of them were blowouts with the mid majors or the smaller majors even, but with the mid majors, every year, my theory that experience. And the mid-majors have a lot more experience on their teams overall than the big schools, because the big schools are got a lot of one-and-dones, two-and-dones. So they don't get a lot of senior leadership, even junior leadership, and these mid-majors do. And you see that even in these teams that lost yesterday, they fought very hard. Oral Roberts fought very hard.
Howard played Kansas. They played him tough for a few minutes. But, again, Howard has a young team, so Howard might be back next year.
Colgate gave Texas a game for about 30 minutes. I mean, they fell apart the last 10 minutes, ended up being a 20-point game, but that was a 10-point game most of the day. It wasn't awful. So
yeah, I was surprised that Utah State couldn't get in the flow of things with Missouri. But again, it's tournament time. I don't know if it was coaching more than it was the players, or Missouri actually played a good game. I was hoping that Utah State would come out with that one. Just for the kids' sake and their coach's sake,
There was Kenny's talking about the ball handling has been a little rough. I agree. The ball could be slippery. I mean, a lot of times they get in there and get these brand new balls, and I've seen these situations happen. It could be just nerves too in this first round too. It could be some of that. They might be.
And listen, these kids, man, they're regular people. Sometimes they get sweaty hands. I don't see a lot of talk on the side. I used to see more like powder talk on the side. I don't know. I don't know if that's not allowed as much anymore, or is that something they're trying to keep?
Well, spider tack in a type thing.
No, I'm talking about the powder.
I'm making
powder.
It.
I'm
making a bad joke.
A lot of these kids get nervous, man. That it's a big game for them. It's it's one and done for them. So,
balance.
I did see the ball slip out of a lot of guys' hands in a lot of different games, and you got to control yourself, man. This is the last game you're gonna play, maybe. So
Kenny feels Missouri will be a tough out. Now I'm trying to see who they got next. They've got they play Princeton next, so that's going to be an interesting. This might be. Alan talked just a second ago. They have not been out of round of 32 in the modern era, which is what I was kind of referring to. They might get to the Sweet 16. This is going to be an interesting matchup with Missouri and Princeton.
Here's the thing: can Missouri keep up the defense? Because that's what's going to matter at the end of the day.
Poor CA's got a lot of stuff going on. Breaking in a bed, breaking a new dog. I mean, Jesus. I mean, you might want to swap families with somebody.
CA 2023 isn't for me, man.
That's a tough go of it. Let's look at today a little bit real quick before we move on from the NCAA tournament. And I guess we can give our quick picks. I mean, I haven't lost anybody in the Final Four. I have lost one team in the Final 8. But today's games, what really excites you today? I think that here in Albany, I think the Miami Drake matchup is a very interesting one. That's tonight at 7:30.
I'm scared for Xavier. They're going to play a Kennesaw State team that likes to grind it out, that scratches and claws away in out of games to win games. They're scrappy.
And Xavier likes to move the ball up and down the court too.
Yeah,
so.
they're pretty decent team in Kennesaw, but I think that game's going to be a lot closer than people expected.
I see a couple upsets today again. I like UC Santa Barbara a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say the Baylor game.
I like them against Baylor a lot.
Yeah, I didn't pick Baylor, man. I'm not big on that conference, and I didn't think it was as tough as it could have been. But
I didn't say good morning to Robert. Good morning, Robert. Robert's saying to George, you may get a 12 in there. It's entirely possible this year you see one of these 12 seeds get in there.
Well, if Baylor loses today, that's a 14 seed that goes in at UC.
Listen, Drake has a 12 against Miami. I like Miami. I've got them going to the Elite Eight, and that might be more heart than head. But they got a very good team. But Drake has got really good guards, veteran guards, as I just got through talking about. They are a little short on the bench, so they get in foul trouble. They're going to be in trouble. But this is going to be a live dog. There'll be a live dog today.
Vermont plays Marquette today. Marquette, up and down team this year as far as their style of play and the consistency, even though they've gotten a lot of wins. But Vermont's a scrappy team. They're tough. They're older guys. We're going to see a good game in that one too, I think. Purdue plays today, right?
Purdue plays, who do they play? They got Fairleigh Dickinson, who played well the other night, but Purdue should win this game. I've got them going out in the second round. I've got 3 number ones out in the second round.
Here we go. This is going to be the game to watch, and it's going to be one that I don't know if you're going to like. Kentucky versus Providence.
That's a good matchup.
I've seen Providence play. I've seen Kentucky play, and I think the matchup, the teams are almost alike. The coaching styles are almost alike.
Yeah, Ed Cooley did a great job at Providence. I'll say this much. I took Kentucky for one reason. They're playing better later in the year than Providence was. That's the only reason I took Kentucky. They're very evenly matched, I think.
Yeah, they're even. I saw Providence in the tournament. They didn't fare too well, but against a couple other teams. But again, that those last 3 games that Providence played, the 2 in the tournament and then 1 to get it before the tournament, man, that's a team to watch out for because they were on the up. But Kentucky, like I said, they're very well matched up. Kentucky's going to have – Calipari's going to have a day with this one. And if he don't have a heart attack after this game, I don't know.
Kenny's asked me about the tickets in Albany. We got some good teams here. Problem that right now you can't get a ticket, and the prices only went up on the secondary market and mainly Kenny because we got Iona and UConn here playing at 4:30, very close to the Albany area. There are going to be a ton of Iona fans here. There's going to be a ton of UConn fans here, and UConn's got a kid that played at Albany Academy and is from Amsterdam, New York. So there's going to be a lot of those people there.
It's a good look. It's a good look. Florida Atlantic is going to play a Memphis team.
Yep,
that game's going to be good too. That's a later game. I don't know if you're going to be up for that one, Keith. But
I went through all of them last night, believe it or not. And
good job.
Actually, no, I went to bed before the Texas A&M game wrapped up because it was out of control. So I didn't make it to the end of that one, but I made it to every one.
The late games are going to be the tougher games for some of these teams. Kansas State plays Montana. Kent State plays Indiana. I see these higher seeds, one of these 2 falling off. Maybe Indiana, maybe Kansas State. I don't know.
I don't understand why, but there's a 10:05 start here in Albany. Why are you starting games in Albany?
That's Arizona, right?
I think it's Arizona and
Texas Christian.
Is that in Albany? This one doesn't tell me where the game. Oh, yeah.
This is West.
Somewhere. No. Kent State and Indiana.
Yeah. Oh, Kent State, Indiana?
Play at 10 o'clock. These games, they don't need to start these games that late. There's no 12. Well, there's a couple 12 o'clock starts, but here, all the games today are played on the East Coast, and 1 or 2 games, I should say, are being played in, I guess 4 games are being played in Denver.
Is that Ball Arena? Is Denver Ball Arena?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the late game, Arizona State versus TCU.
And Kenny, if you want to, here's what I might do this. I don't know yet because I got to watch the Miami game. My goal was maybe to go down to the MVP, which is what they call the Knickerbocker or whatever we want to call it in Albany now, after the Iona UConn game, because the loser of that game, there's going to be a boatload of people trying to get rid of tickets if they bought them for the weekend. So that might be a possibility, but it's going to be a lot of work to do it. So I don't know that I'm willing to go out and stand out in the cold. Baylor. Alan's got Baylor in his Final Four. You're struggling so far too, Alan. I think you're actually somehow Carlos stayed ahead of you in the tournament. I think so far.
So Purdue plays as well. Gonzaga plays Grand Canyon.
Yeah. No upsets there.
Yeah, no. But
listen, this UConn Iona matchup is interesting to me as well. UConn should win this.
They should.
Rick Pitino, and it's kind of ironic they sent him to Albany because all he's done since he got to the MAC was about having to play in Albany. And so I thought it was justice that the NCAA sent him to Albany for the first round. But UConn's got to be careful here because Iona presses and does all kinds of things to keep you out of getting into your offense. They'll press full court, and you don't have a lot of time to get down the court and run your offense. So if they can shoot the ball, and they got some guys who can shoot threes.
Yeah, I see that.
If they shoot and make those buckets, they could make this a game. It could also turn into a blowout because UConn's playing some pretty good basketball right now.
The thing, can UConn's depth keep them ahead of Iona's scrappiness?
That's the question, right?
That's the question tonight, right? And we're gonna see who's had more rest, Iona or UConn.
Well, UConn said they both had their final on Saturday, I think. So pretty sure.
They're both going to be – this is going to be a good game. Listen.
Another great game. VCU St. Mary's, another interesting 12-5 matchup. VCU is playing again. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. They've won their last 10 games, I think, and 9 of them by double digits. Walked through the A10, which is an underrated league, tournament. This is a team to watch out for. I've got this team going quite a ways in the tournament as well. Before
I answer that question, what is Rick Pitino's record on going out after the first game for the tournament?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I would say
not low. It's not low at all.
No,
so Iona has a shot.
He hasn't coached at Iona all those years either. I mean, he was coaching at Louisville and Kentucky and Providence.
Yeah, but UConn, they got a new coach too, though, right?
No, Danny Hurley's been there a few years now.
2 years?
At least his third year.
This is the third.
Yeah, I think so.
Look, credit to Hurley brothers. They're both in the dance.
Yeah, he's done a good job at UConn. UConn was people forget because they hit a stretch where they weren't playing well. They were as high as number 2 in the country earlier this year.
That's true. That's true.
And they dropped almost out of the top 25 when they lost like 4 out of 6. Then they rebounded to play very well. I think they made it to the semis in the Big East. Listen, I got Marquette coming out of this region. They've got Vermont today. I've got Marquette winning it all. I love Marquette. I love Shaka Smart. I love what he's done with his team. They play unselfish basketball. Their interior defense is a little weak, but they really run a very efficient offense. I just think this team they got a tough matchup in second round with Michigan State potentially.
Well, the St. Mary's game
I met this team later too.
Yeah, the St. Mary's game is. I don't think it's quite as interesting. I don't think VCU has enough on the bench. St. Mary's, they play pretty well now, and they're a team to watch as far as upsetting other teams, right? Once they get past the second round. So
yeah, Kenny just says they don't like Pitino doesn't like Albany because they watch old guys closely. Listen, Rick Pitino got to the MAC. They were still playing the conference tournament in Albany every year, and he didn't think it was fair, and he was very vocal about it. And anyway, Rick Pitino probably his last game at Iona because I think he's going to be moving on.
Yeah, I hope for his sake his focus is on tonight and not moving on. I mean,
I think he stays in the moment. I think he's listen. Rick Pitino has been a vagabond, kind of like Larry Brown. He's been everywhere, it seems. The pros, college. He's coached, 2 different teams in the NBA and 5 different teams in college. And I don't think this isn't new for him, right? Coaching a team with his eye on maybe another job. So This isn't
No,
new.
you know who's more of the guy that can't stay in one place is Buzz Peterson, man. He's been all over the map.
He was doing a great job, I should say, with Texas A&M till last night. They stunk up the joint, but he did a good job at Marquette. He did a good job at Virginia Tech, and he's done a good job, but never been able to get too far in a tournament.
He was in Tennessee for a time.
Was he?
Yeah, he was.
I don't remember that.
A few seasons before the Pearl season.
Yeah, he was there with. Oh, that's that long ago, huh?
Yeah,
he's a North Carolina guy, right?
Yeah, he's been everywhere, man.
Marquette doesn't get any respect even after a good run last year. Well, you're right. Marquette was picked ninth. They lost a lot of kids to graduation and transfer.
Man. They were picked
to finish ninth in the Big East. Shaka Smart's the best coach in the country this year. In my mind, he's done the best job of anybody. And there's been some good jobs being done. So anyway, who's your Final Four real quick? We know you lost one of them.
Yeah, I had Kansas, Arizona. I have Texas. And who's the last one? One more. I don't even have it up right now, actually. Do you have them up?
I have mine. I can pull yours. Mine is Marquette and Gonzaga. And I have Marquette beating Gonzaga going to the final. And I have Texas against who do I have Texas against?
Houston.
No, Texas is going to be Houston in the
8.
I got Texas beating Miami in the Elite Eight, actually, to get to the final. Oh, Alabama. I do have one chalk team.
Oh, yeah, Alabama.
So I've got one number 1, 2 number 2s, and a 3 going to the Final Four. And all still alive. Let me pull up yours here real quick. You have, we know one's out.
Yeah, Arizona's out.
The bracket. It's hard to read sometimes, the Final Four, because the way they lay it out. Let's see. I got to go way down on the list here to find you. I'm just kidding. Actually, you're ahead of me. You're ahead of me, but I got a few more teams left. You have Arizona,
Kansas
against UCLA in the final. So you got UCLA in the Final Four against. It looks like. How come I can't tell who this is? Oh, here it is up here. Final Four. Purdue against Arizona.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And you have Houston against UCLA. So you're in danger of losing a couple other of these teams. I got Purdue and Houston losing in the second round. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, I didn't put any money this year, so I guess that was a good gut feeling.
This is not one of my money tournaments. Obviously, this one's free. I do have some money tournaments. I'm probably doing about the same. I got Marquette winning in every bracket I filled out. I did change some of the other upsets that I had early.
I mean, I watched a lot of basketball. I watched a lot of mid majors this year, and I'm like, but then I looked at the tournament. I'm like, yeah, but some of these mid majors don't go more than 5 deep, and some of them are older kids, and I'm like, I don't know if that bench can help them in the tournament. So
yeah,
and that's where the bigger power 5 teams have advantage over some of these mid majors is that depth, and that's important in a tournament run. You get an injury or two, it's that's what's going to keep you balanced out. So and in the coaching,
To Alan's account here, I would say Marquette's an underdog. I picked them to win myself, but in some of the bigger pools that I'm in, you'd be surprised how many people have Marquette winning this whole thing. So it's not as big an underdog as you think.
Here in the East Coast, we hear it. I hear a lot of people talking UConn. I don't think Danny Hurley has that team there in UConn to take it all. But I mean, ESPN's picked even out of Connecticut. ESPN's picked them up high.
They've got a couple kids that are really dynamic, but again, I don't know how deep UConn goes actually. So
right. I mean, I don't know.
Playing well. They went out in the semifinals of the Big East, but they really righted the ship later in the season, so they could make a run here. Look, I'm not going to say anybody can't make a run after I saw yesterday.
That's true. You're right. And then so hey, it's going to be a heavy Friday night, right?
It is.
And so we're you guys, good luck on your brackets. I know I'm out, so I say farewell to everybody on that.
Another great day today, and 2 more great days. I love the first 2 rounds of this tournament.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm still gonna watch ball
from noon to midnight. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch the ball. I'm still gonna watch some of these teams play. It's an awesome experience. As a sports fan, it's even better for some of these kids who won't make and have their NBA dream realized. So, and listen, and if you guys don't like this competition, the NIT is just as hot with some of these upsets. A good Rutgers team can beat by Hofstra here down the street from us.
Because the good teams don't care about playing the NIT. If they feel they should have been the NCAA, those are the worst teams to pick in the NIT.
You know what? Here's what I think about the NIT, and maybe they should change it up where the second team who doesn't make the NCAA should do something where the second team who doesn't make the tournament goes straight into the NIT automatically instead of waiting for a bid. So they know they're automatically in the NIT, right?
Yeah, but if I'm Rutgers and I feel like should have been in the NCAA, that doesn't help me any. I'm still.
Well, Rutgers was what, like second or third in their division, anyways.
Yeah, they were probably one of the first teams out of the NCAA bracket. I mean, there was a lot of controversy about Nevada getting in.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of controversy, and I think you saw it so far. Mississippi State didn't belong there. West Virginia didn't belong there. So
I mean, there's still good teams that like the game tomorrow. Cincinnati and who are they playing? That determines who Hofstra plays on Sunday. So
why don't they play in the days the NCAA doesn't play? That's what they used to do too. They're crazy to play. Nobody's watching the NIT when the NCAA's on. Nobody, unless you're a fan of the team that's playing, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway,
listen. I mean, if I'm the NCAA, you have to work with these media too. Like who's the channels? Some of these channels aren't carrying NIT basketball either. So,
Kenny, yes, there is baseball, which we'll talk about before we get done. Hopefully, a little WBC news.
Let's talk about what's going on. Oh my goodness! Listen, before we get to the big news, how about a little applause for Matt Harvey and Piazza.
You want to go to the WBC right now, do you?
Yeah, let's talk about them and how
we don't have a. Don't I have a?
And they're doing a good job and giving a little bit of pride, joy to some of those Italians out there.
I guess I never. Jesus, I guess I never had a. Well, we'll just do an MLB up. I thought I had a banner for this, but I guess I don't. I don't want to do that one. We'll just put our basic one back up. So listen, the WBC, you're right. Italy's been a great story. Matt Harvey pitched well. I don't know if he pitched against Japan. I don't think he did. Italy was a good story getting to the quarterfinals. They got knocked out yesterday against Japan. USA, after a bit of a slow start, took the hitters a little while to kind of get going. They played very good baseball since they lost in the second game to who did they lose the second game to? I don't remember now. Doesn't matter. They finished 3-1 and they're going to be going on to the quarterfinals and they're playing Venezuela tomorrow at 7:00. The USA, I like the USA a lot. Their position players and batters are just out of this world. There's no team that can even the Caribbean teams, which are very good, can't match the lineup that the USA can throw out there. The problem that USA has, starting pitching is very, very thin. They brought a lot of relievers to this tournament, which is fine because you have pitch count limits anyway. But you had some surprises. The Netherlands played well, didn't necessarily get there. Some of these teams are catching up because the rules have gotten a little lax too. I mean, if anybody in your family ever visited the country, you can go there and play for them. That's not really true. I was
going to say that's not true at all.
A descendant that is from that country, and you can track them back. I think your grandparents, you can play. Like Xavier Bogart played for the Netherlands because his grandfather, I think, was born there.
Dutch. He's Dutch descent, and I think he's Dutch descent too, but by in one of the islands, not necessarily. I think in Dutch Antilles, not necessarily Holland, not necessarily the Netherlands. So, but no, I mean, Wednesday was the biggest day because that's when Venezuela beat Israel, and then Mexico beat up on Canada, and Puerto Rico beat up on the Dominican Republic, and then the U.S. beat up on Colombia. That was the biggest day,
right?
For the baseball tournament. That was the biggest wins for these teams. Yesterday, I think the only team that played was Italy and Japan.
I felt bad for the Dominican, really, because Pool D was just loaded with Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Dominican in there. I mean, Israel and Nicaragua had no shot. I don't know why they're in that pool, but they had just no shot.
And then, so like you already have the winners, like Cuba's playing the winner of the Venezuela US.
Cuba has who's Cuba got next?
Because they beat Australia. So Cuba has the winner of.
Did they get played already? The Australia.
Yeah, they won that bracket already. So.
Yeah, but aren't they playing?
Cuba,
we got a matchup today: Puerto Rico and Mexico.
Yeah,
that's a quarterfinal matchup. Tomorrow we got the U.S. and Venezuela as a quarterfinal matchup. Yeah, Cuba to be determined. So they're already in the semifinals. I'm taking it.
Yeah, they'll be playing the winner of the U.S. and Venezuela team.
Okay. That's going to be a good matchup, the USA and Venezuela. I think. Puerto Rico and Mexico obviously is a good matchup. I like these quarterfinals. And the excitement. Listen, there's a lot of stuff, and I'll bring up CA's comment here about it's serious for the Mets. I saw a lot of negative stuff about the WB.
Oh, jeez.
Why are these guys playing? The team shouldn't let them go. People bitch and moan. I'm probably going to do my vlog on this today. People bitch and moan about players just playing for the money. But when they go play for pride and play for their country or their parents' country or whatever reason they're there, they're going to get lambasted for that too. And they go get hurt and the Mets lose their number one player. And first of all, guys can get hurt anywhere.
Anywhere. I was going to say that.
He got hurt on the field throwing the baseball. He got hurt during a celebration because he was doing something stupid. I mean, look at it. There's no reason to say the WBC needs to go away because of this.
Right.
This is a great tournament. This is a fun tournament for me to watch. I got in a little tussle with my brother-in-law, not tussle, but we disagreed a little bit about between exhibition Major League Baseball and the WBC. And he says, well, you're going to see a lot of the same guys playing. There's a big difference, though. These games mean something.
Right. You're actually playing a tournament which has a win, which something you win, which something matters, right? What has some kind of significance. I'm with you on a couple of things that you said. I've mentioned before, maybe a year back before Diaz got hot, I was like, it was a contract year for him. Yep. I mentioned on a lot of shows, I wouldn't mind not seeing DeGrom come back because he hadn't played much, and I wouldn't mind seeing the Mets not sign Diaz because they can look for more. They can look for more pitching, because he's going to demand a high price tag. And well, of course, they ended up signing him, and because you have to be okay with what the team does. I was all right with that, and now I see this and. He didn't get hurt playing, but he got hurt celebrating, but he got hurt. And here's the idea that I say, though. It's like in baseball, you get paid for what you have already accomplished, not for what you're going to accomplish.
Yep.
And which is different than a lot of other sports. And the thing was to me that after the Seattle season that the Mets picked him up, because he had a great season. He didn't fare well the first season with the Mets.
No, he was terrible.
He was yes. And so my thing is that these players are going to get used and are going to get, eventually tired, and their bodies are going to get older. And so why as a general manager are you paying the up-ticketed price for somebody? So Diaz hasn't got hurt at all. He's had minor injuries, right? And he throws the way he throws. I was like, man, he's bound to get injured sooner than later.
Yeah.
And now it happened. Now it's not an arm injury, granted, but now he's hurt. But he's hurt bad because he's hurt and he's gone for the season.
He's out for the year. It hurts the Mets, yes, but that doesn't mean he should have been there playing. That does not mean he shouldn't have been there playing.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's a different story. So for the Mets. Luckily, these guys who are MLB stars or MLB players were told by the MLB and the owners of MLB that they were going to be granted an accessible insurance, and they had to take and sign a contract to be insured. So the Mets, let's just say this happened. They're okay as far as compensation, but they're not okay because the compensation is, even though it's money, that takes away from the rotation and the pitching staff that they was going to have built up as a lineup.
It also counts against their cap still, I believe. So
I don't. So now that he's injured and he's out towards a year,
I think it still counts against your cap unless he's not on the roster. If he's owed that money, it's gonna. And the Mets don't care about the cap anyway. He's going to pay.
They're going to pay the tax no matter what because they're over by.
Yeah, if there was a hard cap like the NFL or something,
they're over, so they were going to pay no matter what, Keith.
Yeah.
Oh, but this is the thing. There was talk about a 6-man rotation. There was talk about, but now the rotation is affected by Quintilla being out for 5 to 8 weeks, depending on how his rib injury is.
Yeah.
So okay.
I think it's an oblique injury, but that's fine because we can't call it ribs. It's oblique.
Whatever it is, he's gonna be
out. What oblique was before 1990.
I feel, and I think I'm on the other side of the people who support Mets and New York baseballs. I feel like this is an okay thing for the Mets because then later in the season you'll get your guys back. You'll get Quintilla back in the middle of the season. You'll see what you have in the minors, and then if these guys can't produce, move them out and move on. Yeah, because you can't be holding so many of these pitchers who are supposedly high prospects, but they don't know what it's like to be in the majors. Now they have the opportunity to come up, and now you have an opportunity to see, is Buto an actual decent pickup for the Mets? I don't think so. I want him out because I haven't seen anything from him that makes him a good prospect as a pitcher. Maybe he needs to go somewhere else and get more or better doing something else on another team. And you just go down the line. Can McGill become a good starter? Can some of these players come in and produce? And that's where I stand as far as that perspective goes. Because players in baseball and in any team on any sport, they're going to come in, they're going to get injured, and they're going to come back. And if they don't come back, then you move on. You got to see what you got on the back.
Yeah. Listen, again, for those who think the WBC is irrelevant, and
that's another conversation. It's
ridiculous. Just stop.
It would have been more interesting if this baseball was like a 50 game season, and then WBC, the All Stars played in the WBC, and then they kind of combined it, or they made that the first season, and then something like that. But it's not like that. And you got 110 baseball games, man. Just be happy. It hasn't started yet.
Yeah, and CA said in an earlier comment, the Mets bullpen won't be the last to take a major hit anyway, so it's just the first. And
San Diego Padres haven't started playing, and the Mets and San Diego Padres for the last 3 years are in competition to see who can lose the most players and the fastest in baseball. So,
since we're going to get to the finalists, I believe before we meet again, let's pick a winner. I'm going to take Puerto Rico over Mexico today. I think they play at 7:00. Finally, I can watch these games in their entirety because they don't start at 10:00 with the USA. I'm going to take Puerto Rico over Mexico. I'll take I think in a tough game, I think the USA will find a way to beat Venezuela.
But can they beat Cuba?
Can they beat Cuba? I think they can. I mean, the Netherlands beat Cuba. I think the USA will get by Cuba. I think, and then we got Puerto Rico against Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Japan's playing really, really well. I think you're going to see a USA-Japan matchup. I think the USA is going to lose to Japan in the final. I'll be rooting for the USA, but I think the USA loses to Japan.
I'll second that. I like that. I like that final, and I second it. I think as much as the US is deep, Japan has a lot of players there that we don't get to see every day. Yep. Very technically sound. They can hit. Not homers. They're not a hard-hitting team, but they can hit for bases. They can pitch. They have a good rotation. They're coached very well. And I think with the U.S. is they got a lot of power hitters, but they'll probably start striking out.
Well, I think Ohtani is going to be in line to pitch that final. I think he'll have enough rest where he'll be pitching that final. So he pitched really good.
We'll see, man. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So before we run out of time, let's touch on the NFL and free agency. It's been a crazy, crazy week.
So Aaron Rodgers spoke this morning after he woke up to his spirited friend about
Okay. Did he have more visions in the night? Did he? Or
yeah, about how is he going to get to New York from Green Bay? Is he going to take a train, plane, or
well, they better make a
automobile?
trade. Green Bay's now screwing him over. There's nobody to root for in this whole thing. I mean, I've said before, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I think the Jets have no choice now but to make this deal. And now the Green Bay's holding them over a barrel, and Rodgers is stuck in the wind. He said, "I'm playing for the Jets." Well, he's pretty much playing for the Jets or nobody now. And the Jets signed Lazard. So I don't know whether they gave him supposedly the rumors were he gave the Jets a list of players to go out and get.
A laundry list, yeah.
They only got one guy off that list, Lazard, who's a good player, by the way. I think he'll fit the Jets very well, assuming there's something to throw him the football.
That list is like giving a broke person a Christmas list and expecting an Xbox at the end of the year. Come on, man.
I don't think the Jets did a bad job in free agency. Let me give you a couple of things and we'll talk about it. I think the losers in free agency so far, the Patriots have been losers in this whole thing. I mean, signing Juju Smith-Schuster is your biggest signing besides re-signing your own guys. I'm okay with that stuff, but I'm not happy with what they've done so far.
Will Schuster make your guys better, and will you score more touchdowns because of him on the team?
No. He'd be about the 20th guy I'd want to bring on this team probably. But again, now in fairness, as we talk about winners and losers here, I don't think we can put a complete grade on people until after the draft because we don't know what people's plans are in the draft. And that's why they did things in free agency. So I got the Pats, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Rams, and Eagles, I think are all big losers. The Eagles lost 3 really important players off their team, at least 3. Two of their best defensive players, and Sanders, the running back. Where do you go? Carolina, I think.
Listen, East Coast fans. The Bills got fleeced. The Eagles got fleeced. And the Giants keep signing the same players back to the team.
The Giants. I think the Giants made some good moves here in free agency.
No, I don't think so. I feel like they're doing exactly what their management from Buffalo they used to doing is that mediocrity and keeping the same thing to keep going and expecting new results.
I think the Darren Waller trade is a good trade.
But I think that's to be seen. That's like something that we're not going to see. If it's a good trade or not until after the season.
I like bringing I can't say this guy's name. Okereke in 4 years, $40 million. Not a huge outlay there. He's a very good player.
Well, that was a benefit for the defense of the Giants, but the Giants they didn't need a better defense. They needed a better O-line. They needed a better quarterback. They needed they need to score points.
Well, again, I don't think we can necessarily. Do you want them to overpay for an Orlando Brown or somebody like that? Is that what you want to do? I mean, offensive linemen go for a pretty good premium right now.
Is it overpaying if the guy you sign is the guy you want for the next few years?
Well, as you say, if it's going to kill me against the cap because I can't bring in other players, yeah. I mean, again, you got to pay your quarterback, you got to pay your running back, and you've got to find a way to make the other pieces.
Yeah, this is why bringing back both Danny Dimes and bringing back Saquon was a bad deal. They should have just dumped them and moved forward
and lose. There was other options.
They weren't winning that. Keith, I'm gonna keep saying this. They weren't winning that much, and they made it to playoffs, but they barely made it. They hadn't scored enough points.
When's the last time they won a playoff game, Carlos? When's the last time they won a playoff game? You keep telling me they weren't doing anything. They played a decent, easily schedule last season. This season's going to be 10 times harder.
With the same team or something similar, they're not going to make the playoffs.
The same team. You're going to see some improvement. Who's the wide receiver they signed?
Slayton. They re-signed Slayton. And then they re-signed
receiver.
They re-signed the wide receiver that they had 3 years ago, coming off injury. What's his name?
Yeah, I don't see him here. I thought maybe it was just a talk about him signing him. There's a wide receiver I really liked that they were going to bring in. Now I can't remember who the heck it was because they didn't sign him. It's not on this list. So I don't know. I think the Giants did pretty well. The other teams I think did pretty well. I think the Falcons did really well.
The Falcons are doing good.
I think the Bears did very well.
The what?
The Bears did very well.
The Bears are doing well for themselves. The team right now that I've given A+ to are the Dolphins. They make their team better.
That's kind of an I don't have them good or bad.
Because the Bills got fleeced and the Jets don't have a quarterback, the Dolphins are winning the division so far. So, They're the better team in the East.
Let's not forget about that team that plays in Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Well, you just told me that you gave them an F. So
I'm giving them an F for their. Doesn't mean I don't think the team will get better. They're already better because of the guys they brought into the coaching staff. That's why they're going to be better.
So you're banking the season on the coaches and not the people who are on the field playing.
Yeah, the guys who actually put the game plan together. Yeah, that's why they didn't make the playoffs last year, because of guys putting the game plan together. That's
You're just glad those guys are out.
Yes, anything was better, and we got a very experienced offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien. It was given control of the offense. They'll be better just because of that. Do I think they need to make improvements? Do I think they need offensive linemen and wide receivers? Absolutely.
How many games is Bill O'Brien going to win for the Patriots?
Let's see. I'll give them 3 more wins than they had last year.
Okay, is that with?
You should have won 11 games last year.
Is that with the new? Is that with the new improved Schuster as a wide receiver?
I don't like. I'm not. This is not a acknowledgement that that's a good signing. That's just a bad signing.
Right. All right. So, and you still got Mac Jones.
Yeah, who's definitely going to be an NFL quarterback.
They should have got Daniel Jones and Mac Jones and Ben Jones and Jones.
Listen, I would have swapped Mac Jones for Daniel Jones.
I didn't want to swap. I'm not talking about swapping. I'm talking about giving you Daniel Jones. I don't want to swap nobody.
I'm talking about swapping it off my roster. I would have done that.
I'm gonna say.
I would have done that. But, but since I couldn't do that, I'm okay going forward with Mac Jones.
Well, what do you think about the Saints? I think the Saints are still in trouble, even though they made the sign in a card. So I don't see where they did anything else of consequence. They re-signed Michael Thomas, who won't play probably but 4 games. That's the key for them, is if Michael Thomas can step up. Olave's good, so they got one playmaker that is going to be okay. If Thomas will come back and they can make another,
Yeah, I think they make some moves on defense, but. Yeah, and listen, I think the Falcons are the team that could come from nowhere to win next year, just because that division's so bad. If their quarterback situation plays out decently at all, and right now Desmond Ridder is the starter most likely. But they did a good job. They brought in the best defensive back in free agency, in my mind, in Bates. From Cincinnati. I think the Falcons, just because that division is so bad, Tampa's not going to be good. They're another team that was a loser in this whole.
I don't know what they're waiting for. They should be making moves left and right.
Actually, who'd they sign? Didn't they sign Baker Mayfield?
Is that where Baker went? It was to Tampa?
Yeah. So here's my question. I just watched the GM from Tampa Bay only 3 weeks ago saying, we're fine with Kyle Trask. We were okay going with Kyle Trask last year when Tommy retired last year. If you're so sold on Kyle Trask, why are you going out and signing Baker Mayfield? Don't get it.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't get it.
Oh, so Jimmy G is heading to Vegas?
Listen, the Raiders did a good job. Raiders did a really good job, I think. Who'd they bring in? They brought in Jimmy G. There's somebody else I wanted to mention out there. Garoppolo. Jacoby Myers is a good signing for them. They already got Devontae Adams. They got a guy who moves the chains. Jacoby Myers, you can say what you want about him. If he can stay in the field.
Well, they got the picks from the Giants.
He moves the chains. That guy catches everything you throw near him. He's a really good signing for them. I like the signing of Marcus Epps at safety.
They got that third pick from the Giants from that Tony trade.
Yeah, I think they did a really, really good job.
The Raiders are going to be okay.
They kept Josh Jacobs, too, with the franchise tag, too. So I think they did well. 49ers, I think, did well. Getting Hargrave from the Eagles, I think, was a huge
good pickup.
To help an already stout defense. I like the Panthers, the Raiders, the Redskins.
What are the Bills doing besides getting fleeced left and right?
Well, losing Edmonds doesn't help them at all, especially, that defense needs some help, and that you lose probably your best linebacker.
Well, they signed what's his name, the linebacker, the defensive back. What's his name? Alonso.
Bill signed. We got a couple of comments I want to get here before we wrap it up. They say safety Jordan Poyer. Linebacker. The only linebackers they signed were Matavikic and Milano. Oh, Milano.
That's who they was. Yeah, Milano. Not Alonso.
He was their guy. He was their guy.
But I mean,
let me see.
Is Frazier taking a leave of absence?
Yeah, that was a shock. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see what's going on. Let me get to these comments before we wrap it up. World Baseball Classic. It's fun to watch. Kenny, who hates baseball now. Kenny was a really good baseball player and an umpire, and he hates baseball now. But Kenny giving the World Baseball Classic some kudos is a good thing. Good morning, Dan Harris. Great to have you with us. Who does he likes? I don't know what that is. Pick, and I want
Japan. He likes the Japan pick.
He likes Japan. Mr. J. Thanks for putting in, Dan. Why would anyone want Rodgers? Listen, I understand everything that comes with Aaron Rodgers, and we don't have a lot of time to go into it because we're just about, we're out of time, but we'll go a couple minutes over here. The Jets have no other choice. They're ready to win.
They don't even have an O-line, but okay, bring in Rodgers.
You don't have another choice. You can piss away 2 more seasons, and he could be an unmitigated disaster, but you won't win without a quarterback, so you might as well take a chance. Okay. No better quarterback. That's the only reason why. Exactly.
Let's see how this whole Mekhi Becton thing pans out.
CA, you were, man, all over the place, and I think I might have to introduce you to Kenny. You guys might get along pretty well because I don't know what's going on there, CA, but you are very eclectic this morning. Carlos, you were doing very well, and then we get to the Giants. And
Kenny, are you expecting the Giants to win more than 7 games this season?
Yes.
Come on, man.
I am too. Listen, and not a Giant fan. The Jets. I think the Giants. Listen, there's a chance the Giants, depending on what they do in the draft, and if they continue, if they still need to improve those skill position players, a wide receiver core. This team's going to compete for the division title. I'm telling you, the Eagles.
Okay, the Eagles brought back Shepard.
The Cowboys will be worse. Telling you.
They brought back Shepard because they're just reaching, man. They're doing stuff that they've already done. The Giants are not doing anything different. So instead of winning the extra 5 games that they did because of a field goal,
I know.
They have struggled. So that's my pick.
More to come as we head towards the draft.
Happy Friday.
There'll be more to come. Happy St. Patrick's Day, too, guys. I didn't say
Happy St. Patrick's Day, people.
If you're wanting to go out and celebrate that, be careful and be safe. I'll be home at work safe.
Call an Uber if you need to, or a Lyft, or anybody else to pick you up that's not going to charge you more than.
Oh, well, then I'll go out. You can drive up here to Albany and pick me up.
I'll pick you up on the train, sir.
There you go. I love the train. All right, guys, enjoy your St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy the tournament. Enjoy the WBC. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you. By the way, interviewing Kermit Washington, former Laker and NBA great, and part of one of the bigger controversies in NBA history with the punch of Rudy Tomjanovich. I'll be interviewing him tonight, and that'll play next week, so be watching for that interview. Have a great weekend, guys.
Enjoy sports.
For Keith Engle for the Mad New Yorker, we're out of here. Bye-bye.